Sources are telling Fox 5 that several people were shot in a nearby apartment building. We are told at least one of the victims is a minor. Police are investigating the situation. No word yet on what led to the shooting or on any arrests. Now, this latest deadly shooting and rash of shootings comes just hours after D.C.'s juvenile curfew enforcement pilot program went into effect.
And just to give you an idea of how many shots were fired during all of this, a police report says 5 apartment units were hit by bullets. 6 vehicles also were hit.
They took my baby from me! I don't know what to do! They took my baby!
Just before midnight on September 1st, Metropolitan Police reported to the 1300 block of 7th Street Northwest in response to the sounds of gunshots. Upon arrival, authorities would discover 3 female teens suffering from gunshot wounds in the rear outdoor parking lot of a building.
Residents in several D.C. neighborhoods are on edge after a deadly outbreak of violence. At least 4 people lost their lives in overnight shootings incidents. People in one neighborhood in Northwest tell us they heard a barrage of gunshots followed by screams. News 4's Derek Ward has the details on this violent night in the district.
2 women died and a teenage girl was wounded. That was the horror that unfolded in a parking lot behind a 7th Street Northwest apartment building just before midnight Friday.
So many shots that and so rapid.
It was something that shouldn't be on the street.
Crime scene technicians were still documenting the damage late into the morning. Residents of this neighborhood have the sounds of that horror etched into their memories.
Within a 10-second span, it was easily over 100 rounds.
Then we hit the people screaming and running around, helicopters coming, police coming.
We seen them working on the kid.
An hour earlier, just after 11 p.m., a fatal shooting in the 100 block of Farragut Street Northwest claimed the life of 43-year-old Richard Ruffin III of Silver Spring, Maryland. About 4 hours before that shooting, another one, around 7 p.m. Friday, in the 2200 block of Savannah Terrace, southeast, where yet another teen was wounded. All part of a violent spate of shootings that would end at 5:59 this morning in the 4200 block of 4th Street Southeast. The victim, identified as Zion Turner, was found shot to death inside an apartment. He was 15. 4 separate shootings, 4 people dead, all between 7 p.m. Friday and 6 a.m. this morning. Meanwhile, back in Northwest, at the scene of the shooting that killed 2 women, frustration over the continuing violence.
We lived 1 year in Harlem, we lived in Miami, so it's not that we're completely new to. I've never seen a shooting like that.
This man has been going on since the pandemic let up.
The victims were identified as 19-year-old Mekiya Ferguson of Southeast D.C. and 18-year-old Cle'Shai Perry of Northwest D.C., who were both sadly pronounced dead at the scene, just hours after D.C.'s youth curfew program went into effect. A third victim, Mekiya's 16-year-old cousin, was taken to a local hospital in critical condition and has since been upgraded to stable condition. During the investigation, there were over 80 evidence markers on the street. People who live in this area told News 4 they heard lots of gunfire in rapid succession when the shooting happened. According to a witness account, the 3 teens were sitting at a playground before dozens of gunshots were fired. As the teens attempted to run away, all 3 were struck. Ward 2 council member Brooke Pinto called the shooting a tragedy on social media, stating the following: "This gun violence is a tragedy, and we must use every tool to stop it. I mourn for these families, as 2 more young lives were cut way too short. This Shaw neighborhood has endured violence for far too long." The shooting happened the day D.C. police were set to ramp up enforcement of the youth curfew. The curfew is in place from midnight to 6 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Triple shooting in this Mount Vernon Square neighborhood. 2 women killed and a 15-year-old fighting for her life in the hospital. Tonight, our Leslie Moreno spoke exclusively to the mother of that girl who is still alive, and she has a strong message for D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
You know, my baby didn't deserve this. No child deserved to die, and we have to bury them. That's not how that goes.
Senator Ferguson's daughter, 15-year-old Lashani Scott, is in the hospital. Her mother says she was shot twice in the neck, on the side and once in the back, leaving her with a fractured backbone. Her cousin, 19-year-old Mekiya Ferguson, and their friend, 18-year-old Cle'Shai Perry, were killed. Family says they were caught in the crossfire while walking back home.
the beefs, the killing, the stabbings, all that, like, it need to stop. Because y'all killing kids that don't have nothing to do with anything.
The shooting happened shortly before midnight, just minutes before the district's juvenile curfew took effect. A curfew the family says isn't going to solve the violence.
Hell no. And I'm going to be honest, the man made a curfew that still ain't working. You still got kids out here after 12 doing what they want to do. Young teenagers, you still got young guys out here that shooting people.
Mekiya would have been celebrating her 20th birthday in just a few days. The family is calling out on Mayor Bowser to take immediate action.
You the mayor of the city, this your city. You need to figure it out. You can't just say, no, we don't need the National Guard, so don't bring them in. Because you fresh out of options. How many more babies do we have to lose to this senseless violence before you bring in some reinforcements? Because apparently your police force can't do it.
Like, what are you going to do as a mayor? Like, we need answers. Like, you sit at home and look at the news just like we sit at home and look at the news. So when you hear this, I wonder what your thoughts going to be.
We reached out to MPD to see how many teens were arrested on the first night of the curfew program. They said 0.
Between last Friday and Saturday, 10 people were shot in the district, with 5 of those shootings being fatal. According to the latest data from the Metropolitan Police Department, compared to last year, overall violent crime rate is up 39%, and homicides are up 26%. Mekiya's mother and father, along with the rest of the family, are frustrated, sick and tired of the constant violence plaguing the city. Their pain made even worse because despite the police identification, they have not been able to see Mekiya's body, a chapter of closure they need to get through this unexpected and unimaginable grief. As of right now, the family of Cle'Shai Perry has not spoken out.
It hurts. Like I don't know I'm going through it right now.
She had a heart of gold.
Michael Ferguson and Kenyelle Chandler shared their names but asked we not show their faces. Mekiya was the oldest of 7. Her mother tells me she loved her siblings. Her father said she loved school and having a good time. Early Saturday evening, bullet holes still evident on the 1300 block of 7th Street Northwest. Michael Ferguson tells me his daughter, niece, and their friend were sitting on this playground. Neighbors reported hearing dozens of gunshots before midnight.
I feel like they ran down and shot and killed my baby for whatever reasons. I don't know.
Kenyelle Chandler's pain made worse because despite the identification of her daughter as a victim, this mother hasn't been allowed to see her daughter's body. A chapter of closure Mom desperately wants as she continues to grapple with unimaginable grief.
They took my baby from me! I don't know what to do! They took my baby!
There are currently no details on any suspects involved or the cause of the shooting. Police, along with family and friends, are encouraging anyone with information to come forward. The case remains ongoing.